and break down how things are going to pan out. As you see on your screen, the two maps that we're not going to be visiting in this best of 3, Split and Icebox. Those are off the board, and that's going to leave Bind, where FaZe is going to be starting off on the defensive side, Ascent, where it's going to be inverted, and of course BBG is going to be on the defense. And then last, if needed, we will be going to Haven. There's a lot to talk about when we look at the maps that are going to be in the rotation here. I think the interesting one, right, and I'll tee us up, Lex, and then you run with this bad boy as far as you want to go. Bind being picked by Built by Gamers is interesting. They haven't played it a lot. FaZe hasn't played it a lot in this tournament either. And when you look further down the road, BBG is great on Ascent, right? FaZe is too, so you kind of toss that one up. And then BBG is great on Haven as well, where FaZe doesn't have nearly the same amount of reps.
Yeah, and I mean, you kind of brought this up earlier when we were going over the rosters, Doug, but it seems to me that when we're talking about Bind and Haven specifically, there is a lot of responsibility going towards jet operators on these teams to deliver here. Yep. And so on Bind, you know, Rob Wiz traditionally has been the jet operator for BBG, and sometimes when he's hot, when he's got a hot hand with the operator, it's just an X factor that BBG can bring to the table. You know, when you talk about Baby Bay on the other side, kind of the same thing, where if these players are able to be in positions consistently where they need to be, getting economic control goes into that as well, Doug. Winning your pistols, making sure that you have the money to afford it, and it can change a matchup from being fairly even to fairly one-sided very quickly if you're able to get underway with that mindset in mind. So, you know, Bind and Haven, you know, I think that is exactly what we're going to need to look at. Whereas Ascent is really the map where I'm excited for, because I think both these teams, as you mentioned, are going to be very strong, and I think that will be the slugfest map. But in any case, this should be a hot series, man.
It is indeed, and we're going to keep talking about Bind here as it's going to be how we're going to kick this series off. FaZe has dropped Bind once already in this tournament. It wasn't close, right? It was 7-13 loss against E United, where BBG, again, they've only played it once, but they don't have a blemish like that on this map. I think for Bind goes either way, in my opinion. I think it can go either way. Ascent is going to be a banger because they're both so good on it. I can easily see this going to map 3.
Yeah. I mean, really, I think for FaZe specifically, if we're talking about how this goes to a map 3, I think very real chance that they win Ascent, right? Not only is it their map pick, but you have a situation where both these teams are very good, and I think maybe pound for pound, talent-wise, FaZe may have an edge. Maybe I'm speaking ahead of myself now, but Bind really is you know, if BBG is able to take it, could be looking at 3 maps. Excited for it, but you certainly got to ask yourself, what version of BBG, what version of FaZe even? I mean,
yeah,
you said they have the blemish on their record, Doug, so they could very easily be dropping Bind. I don't know. We'll see.
And it was all, I mean, this was well talked about, and for good reason. I apologize for fans of United that are in chat or who are watching right now. The win that they had against E United, a 13-0 on Split.
Went and did it to him. Put him on blast like that.
Yeah, well, that was right after the Bind loss, right? Like, so they took that loss. Again, it was a pretty one-sided affair in favor of United, but then they responded in such a devastating way.
Resilience.
United probably didn't even know what hit them at that point. So this series, I think, is interesting. We've seen the maps and how teams play out and, you know, win percentages on that, but I think it's also interesting to see a team's makeup, a team's DNA in situations like this, dropping that and then responding the way that they did. Like, if that's not putting a loss in your rear view mirror and forgetting about it, I don't know what is.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a great point, Doug. You're talking about just resilience, the DNA of a team. That does go to speak volumes towards the actually, Corey, I just went and checked, tweeted out this morning that his aim was going to be hot today, which if you've been watching any FaZe Clan, I love when these guys are on point and they're bringing their A game, but that could be scary for BBG just in terms of, like, if these guys are coming in warmed up, fresh, ready to frag, and they're hitting their marks, they're hitting their stride, I can't think of a more scary team in the game than FaZe when they're just holding W at you. So BBG, I think the onus is on them to take their map pick here on Bind.
We are just a couple of moments from Agent Select. As far as compositions go, historically speaking, too, there's nothing out of this world or really insanely different as far as the compositions go, at least usually, but I think we're already seeing a big difference. Marved on Brim. Talk to me about Brim, Lex.
Oh, man. I love seeing the Brimstone picks. They're kind of rare, but you got to think he's been getting some buffs recently, even some nerfs towards Omen. It's only a matter of time before we start seeing some controller shakeups, and I don't mean just in terms of Viper buffs or maybe an addition of a new agent. I just mean Brim, really, when I'm saying controllers, because I think I resonate a lot, personality wise, age wise, when it comes to Brimstone, and I like that about him just as an agent as a whole. Like Omen's pretty dark and moody and mysterious, and he's a fun agent to play, Doug. But Brimstone for me, I mean, we're both older gentlemen, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I just think like we have a lot in common with Brimstone. So as far as the boomers go, Brimstone's a fan favorite, and we don't see him a lot on Bind. So talking specifics here, the fact is, I think he's got a lot of utility. The only tough spot, really, when it comes to running a Brimstone, is on your attack, being decisive in your executes, knowing when to put his smokes down, because you've only got 3 of them, and you're not running. You don't have any Phoenix walls here. That's pretty bare bones composition. You do have jet smokes, of course, but to create space throughout the game with the L drone from Ruckus. But already pistol underway, 3-2 split towards B. Actually, excuse me, 2-2 split towards B with the Killjoy at short A, Doug.
Yeah, Ruckus gets a good bit of info there with that drone, spots a couple of players, but you already see BBG have taken sand control. They've pushed off, I believe that was Zachary from Hookah, who has to retreat back, and they're going to take that space. You also see FaZe start to rotate some of their resources over as the Raze has made its way back into the defending spawn. There's Corey, going to drop that nade. I don't think it's going to tag anyone up, but at least it should have them think twice about it.
Yeah,
to be honest, Lex, I'm sorry. I don't know that BBG are fully committed here, right? Bjor was there the entire time. They had the spike around Telly, so this was always in the back pocket, rotate, and now it looks like it's exactly where they want to go.
They're doing a good job. Doesn't even matter. I was going to say getting rid of Brimstone smokes, but Bjor already drops down Marv, so that's U-Haul being given from FaZe towards the way of BBG. A dash towards Showers will keep... Oh, man. FaZe is immediately recoiling. Of course, the rotations are coming in, and that player will survive. Corey gonna...
Yeah, but Baby Bay can be really problematic, and if it's not Baby Bay, it's Corey who gets one, but Will sniffs it out. He's gonna land the shots and take care of him. FaZe just down to 2 members left. They're on the site, but they haven't been able to push BBG off quite yet. Bo's gonna be the first one. He spots a player, but look at how aggressive Critical's gonna go. No, Ruckus! You gotta do it to him like that. Zachary gets one as well. BBG looked like they were starting to lose grip on this round, but it quickly goes back to just one on the side of FaZe. It's Zachary, and Bjor takes care of him, sends him packing. BBG win the pistol.
Man, that was so fun to watch, and you highlighted it nicely, Doug. Bjor over there at the short A lurk position, you get a very obvious read on Bind. Once you've been given Garden, once you've been given Hookah, you can get a fair read on what agents are up against you on the B site. So once Raze had arrived, having Sova, Cypher there, okay, 3 players are here, right? What's the situation today? And Bjor making some noise, making some presence, making sure there's no over-rotations coming out from FaZe. And go ahead, Doug, go ahead.
Aggression. Look at how aggressively FaZe are playing this right up a short. I'm so sorry. I know I've cut you off twice already,
dude,
and we're only in the
roll.
second round, but FaZe already wanting to show something. The interesting thing is, as much as they showed aggression there, they gave the space right back.
Yeah, given and then yielded, but I'd go ahead and actually push up at Showers again just for this early information. And if you've reviewed VODs, maybe you have an idea that BBG is going to be playing passive, maybe yielding this orb to you. So interesting that FaZe has almost pre-planned this, and they might catch a timing here, Doug.
Oh boy. Well, if they go into Canyon, they're not going to spot him. No way.
Uh-oh.
No way. FaZe have They may have played themselves here as they go into Canyon. BBG, obviously, they don't know this, but there's nobody at home on A. They can waltz right in there. They can set up a tent, make a freaking sandwich at a picnic, and they're going to be able to do so without any contest. Now you see members of FaZe who are pushed in through showers, work their way back towards short, but can they get through Rob?
Making sandwiches, Rob. Can find the first, but Critical there to back him up. Your will fall. Rob was immediately sending it back in. Will and Critical chime back in with their own frags. And that is cleaned up nicely. 3 members of BBG will survive. And that was, like, I was near tears, I think, when they decided to go towards Canyon, Doug. I wanted to cry. You can only imagine the melee that would have ensued had Will, and I think it was Will, Rob, and Bjor were over there at short A, just not wise at all to the shower flank that was coming through. Didn't matter, though. 2-0 for BBG. A nice, strong start on attack side by.
Yeah, great start. They're going to have they're going to ride the bonus here into this next round. The most formidable weapon that they're going to have is the Bulldog in the hands of Bjor. And again, it's a similar look to what we've seen so far, right? But look at the aggression from FaZe here as they funnel all the way down B long, and they've already been able to get 3 out from Built by Gamers. They have so much room to work with here. They've dropped the spike as well. Bjor has no choice but to pull his way back towards B.
That was a pure contact play coming out from FaZe. Baby Bay hits his mark, and BBG falls 3 members short already. And Doug, I have a feeling we're going to see that a lot. I mean, just in the previous round, this round, FaZe 2 3-man player pushes down at a portion of the map where, you know, they're expecting BBG to be, and it's not as though they're going for some kind of a fast flank play. They're just going for that raw aggression to take contact, take the first gunfight, and they're confident in themselves, and that is so fun to watch, especially when it pays off for them.
Well, and that's their meal ticket, right? Like that, when you think of aggressive Valorant, professional Valorant teams, FaZe is one of the first names that come to mind, right? You can say the same thing about Renegades, but FaZe love to play at this pace, and it's been that way for a long time, but will it pay off? BBG gets onto the site, Bjor! That was nasty. He's going to drop 2 and equalize out the round. FaZe, both members of FaZe are going to be coming in from hookah. You're so weak, though. He's going to get tagged up. Marv takes care of him, and it all falls onto Will. On the other side of the tin can here, just kind of dancing around. He really has no information. He has no choice but to try to go aggressively here, and he's going to get met by both remaining players of FaZe at the exact same time. The classic from Zachary takes care of him, and they're going to get the defuse, put the ult point in the pockets of the brim that we talked about at the beginning of the map. That was well played by FaZe.
Yeah, this, you got a couple of ults to work with FaZe already. You do have a showstopper and a Hunter's Fury for BBG, at least, as some form of a rebuttal to that. But I mean, look at this whole round from FaZe, just the pure confidence to push down, hit your shot, re-aggro it even. Put themselves on a 4v2, but that re-entry from Bjor, wow. I mean, the Bulldog really coming in big. And of course, they don't win the round off of it, but for a bonus, Doug, you get the spike plant. Yeah, you get 3 members of FaZe down. There are worse ways that could have ended, and back right here, more aggression coming out from FaZe, Doug.
Oh man, the orbital strike, the blade storm. Bjor's a dead man walking as he drops. They don't take the space, but they get the kill. Meanwhile, BBG working their way up short. They're going to lead with the drone, but the problem is for BBG is where the other players of FaZe are. They still have showers control. Marv, if he anchors there, he can rip this round apart for Built by Gamers. But Corey with the judge just on the other side in U-Haul. He's going to get tagged up. Those shock darts certainly don't feel good. And then if it's not the shock darts, it's a Vandal from Critical that send him packing. BBG and FaZe at 3 apiece here. Oh man, there he is, right? We talked about that earlier. If you don't deal with the player in showers, there's really no room to breathe. Marv peeks, he gets one, and now BBG wisely say, we're getting the F out of here, bro. They take the telly, they're gonna get on to B, and FaZe is in a foot race to get back.
Yeah, Critical, low HP, 17 seconds away from his recon dart, but Hunter's Fury in hand. You think maybe he goes to long and plays the post plant, and instead, Zachary swinging out from defender spawn towards Covey, collects 2 beautiful shots towards the side of BBG, and now it's 2 all. Nice defensive round from FaZe, and I say nice defensive round. That was epic. I mean, pressing that Shower's advantage early, just knowing, okay, we've got Bjor basically trapped over here out front of Shower's portal. He's overplayed his hand at that point, right?
Yeah, he was done.
He knows he's stuck, and the orbital strike, it's not for the epic, you know, plant denials, diffusals from orbital strikes necessarily. It's being able to put, you know, whoever's on the receiving end of it in a no-win situation.
Right.
And right there, the orbital strike gave them that, an instant free kill for FaZe, and already 2 rounds in a row, the aggression's paid off in a big way for FaZe, and they are gonna do it again, Doug.
Oh boy. They even had the dart from Critical, but the Roomba was there as the tip of the spear, and then Baby Bay follows up once he understands that that's where Critical is, takes him out. Will, he's going to drop as well. He had gotten deep, but it was not going to be enough, and he's going to drop. BBG have fallen apart on this round as they surely didn't have the ideal weaponry to take into this thing, but it's so far looking like it's going to be a flawless round for FaZe, and that's exactly what they deliver, a 1-round lead for the boys on the defending side.
Wow. Okay, not only was that re-aggression or on-the-fly aggression from Baby Bay seemingly calculated and just perfectly executed, like, well done, but I also want to touch on just how well, I believe it was Raucus and Zachary both were able to just catch the ensuing response from BBG. Okay, they're pushed down long B.
Yep.
Let's react. We're going to push into defender spawn. We're going to push elbow. Not only was Will caught off guard by Raucus, but they knew Rob Wiz was pushed all the way basically into beyond where that L-turn was and towards defender spawn to the point where, hey, we're going to re-drone this whole area. We've cornered you. There's no way you're going anywhere. And BBG just one by one get exterminated. And so this B defense from FaZe is really standing out to me, Doug, as being something that is going to be tough for BBG to crack.
It is, and it's been the long aggression. They've played elbow, right? Like, we talked about the aggression with which FaZe plays. It's working, right? Like, they've kept BBG. Yeah. So we'll see now here. BBG, they do have, my gosh. All right, Marv gets one. He's going to get traded out. Here comes the showstopper from Will. Creates some space. You see members start to run back. The Hunter Fury is going to be used, however, to try to keep things back. Baby Bay gets punished as he tries to swing around. Will got one with the showstopper, and they still have the lockdown if they choose to avail themselves of that resource. FaZe also has 2 ultimates to work with. There's the lockdown that we were just talking about. But can they do anything with it? Corey? Yep, Corey gets one, but Bjorn will rip them apart. BBG not a sup at 3 apiece.
I really like this play call from BBG. Okay, I'm talking about it at the beginning of the round, Doug. Like, their defense, they've given a few different looks, right? They've shown their teeth over at B, and FaZe immediately responds by saying, okay, there's no way that they're going to come back here. We just scared them off 2 rounds in a row. Like, let's stack towards A with 3 players. And, you know, it seemed as though they rotated perfectly. Like, they insta-gambled towards B. They had several ultimates they could have leaned on. And, you know, okay, lockdown. Lockdown. Oh,
whoa!
Okay,
that was an op. That was an op. FaZe bought 2. They brought 2 ops into this round. Marv had one of them in his hands, and Rob didn't give him a chance to do anything with it.
I was gonna say they invested a whole bunch of ultimates to get that play dump. They don't even need it now. Look at that op pick coming out, or pick onto the op from Rob Wiz. Yes. And the B hit is still being pressed by BBG here. They could rotate out of this, Doug, but
well,
the threat's there.
Yeah, but Bjor's not up as far, right? You're not getting the same level of information that we've seen before. But now it looks like it's actually, it's a bit of a different flavor, but conceptually you're executing the same thing. Rob is staying over on B to keep resources of FaZe there, and it's going to allow members of BBG to work their way up. The one problem is you've got Baby Bay, who I believe had the other op, that could potentially cause problems. Foe's going to use From Their Shadows to create some room. There's Baby Bay, but they know where he is. They're just blind firing through the smoke. They're going to take him out. Foe with some clean shots. Both ops off the board here for FaZe.
I love that play. We're going to unpack that in a moment, but now it's a 3-on-5. FaZe forced to retake. BBG responding so well in this round too. And, I mean, that TP from the shadows straight into U-Haul with fake smoke underneath heaven. Baby Bay didn't know what to do. He was facing 3 different angles, and now this went from maybe this is going to be a post-plant scenario to FaZe is going to look to hang on these weapons. Yep.
All right, break down the play for me. While we have a few minutes, you said you wanted to nerd out over this, and you know I'm a fan of you nerding out. What'd you see?
Foe just immediately deciding, okay, we're going to regroup towards A, right? Like you were mentioning it, we don't have hookah control. Corey is in full possession of a very integral part of a B execute, which is hookah. There's no way you're going to crack that. You know, Rob was hanging out there for a bit, but you talked about they were kind of cycling back towards an inevitable A hit. Even FaZe was understanding that was a possibility. And you were talking about Baby Bay having the op, and I think they knew this. They had to have known, okay, the operators who we're going to have to deal with. And Bo puts this fake smoke, or at least a partial one-way smoke up in front of the Heaven position. And then from the shadows into U-Haul, any player on the site is turned around looking towards not only Heaven, but at that smoke and finding nothing. Baby Bay, you know, we saw him right at the end there, was even searching in the smoke for the Omen, or at least trying to play around it. And Foe just being able to backstab from that position, facing several different angles. There was nothing Baby Bay could do. And now BBG 4-3 on the scoreline. You've got an orbital strike available to you on FaZe. BBG has a Hunter's Fury. And BBG is just resulting, you know, I guess almost every single round this half, they've had the same look where Bjor's alone towards A, they're working towards B for map control, Doug.
Very similar, but I think the difference is Baby Bay here. So what FaZe is doing is they set up that cross where the Roomba is normally used by Raze to clear that space out, but it's actually the Raze on the defending side who clears out the Roomba. That Baby Bay never has to show himself, and that crossfire can be devastating if they work their way into hookah, but it doesn't look like they want to go there. It's going to be very reminiscent to what we saw in the previous round, where they have Rob over at B long, but they want to go to A. There's the orbital strike. It's going to push things back across the middle of the map, but look at how much space BBG have taken up showers.
And FaZe is pushed out of hookah. We'll talk about this in a second. Critical capitalizes on that and finds Baby Bay retreating. Corey lingers. He finds two and throws the knife into the back of BBG. And okay, Doug, here's my nerd hat on again. So they are leaving Rob Wiz up at the Long B portal to watch for, once they know FaZe is inside of hookah and they give it to him, they're waiting for them to fall out of hookah and start rotating their traditional way by just jumping out of the window, retreating towards defender spawn. And that's what he's waiting for. He's looking for that free frag on somebody with their back to him exiting hookah. And twice now he's been basically like frustrated by the fact that he hasn't gotten any of those despite knowing they're in there, and he gets caught out. Right, like FaZe, this could be long B aggression out of Baby Bay again. But FaZe basically got caught out, and a very awkward encounter in front of the teleporter where, and this time Bjor gets the better of Zachary. And it's Marved over at A that finds another one, Doug,
Corey's gonna get pushed back. There's no neat crossfire that's set up now. They know Corey's there. They have a decent idea of where he is, but Corey doesn't seem to give a damn as he takes care of Rob Wiz himself. Yeah, Will trades it out, but that should give BBG a little bit of room to work with. Baby Bay's gonna drop. BBG have the numbers advantage. They're getting out. Marv goes in aggressive through teleporter. He gets one before trading. They don't want to deal with Raucus, the last remaining member of FaZe on B. They're going over to A.
Yeah, and for Raucus here, as soon as you see that dart, you know, you got to be feeling like there's no way they're coming back to B here. Please be a fake. Okay, no, spike's being planted. And this is just such a tough ask, you know. You got to sprint all the way across the map. They could be here at Pipes. They could be legit anywhere. You do have a recon dart to work with, but, you know, creeping through, he's got to clear all these angles. And it almost calls for, and Critical's going to get this info, or at least delay the Raucus peak for just a moment longer. Without somebody getting caught out here, Doug, it seems as though BBG...
Oh, boy. All right. That's enough info.
Should be able to lock it up. Yeah.
Okay. The fight for B, right, has been like the mainstay of what's gone on for the majority of this map. And they've been trading back and forth, right? Like, this hasn't been a landslide win for either squad. There's just one round separating these two. Rob's going to have the op again. And Baby Bay, I wonder. Keep a close eye on Baby Bay. They're probably going to dart B long. They're going to get the last ult orb in the hands of Baby Bay so he can bring the the Blade Storm to try to equalize things. This is the plan, right? Like, they're selling out for this. There's no plan B. He didn't have another gun.
Yeah, Blade Storm up now for Baby Bay, and unfortunately, Rob Wiz does not connect on that shot. A hook has been yielded. This may be enough for a foothold onto B as BBG encroaches upon it. And as you mentioned, Spy coming out for FaZe, so they do have rifles, and there's Corey with a Vandal one tap on a Will and Hookah. But the Blade Storm is the difference maker now. 2 frags going for Baby Bay, traded back out by Bjor, but now just a 2-on-4 here for BBG.
So FaZe's win condition was that Blade Storm. Great trigger discipline from Raucus to drop BBG just down to 1, but again, like, you could see the writing on the wall, right? Like, it was set up for that, and they needed that. That was a pivotal part of their plan to win that round, so it was so well executed by FaZe.
I think because BBG has been conditioned to be afraid of the long B wide swings, they were very timid in swinging on that Cloudburst itself. And Baby Bay, dude, you brought it up at the beginning of the round. It played out exactly as you had imagined it, where not only are they playing for that orb, man, but it's the difference maker in the round. Baby Bay with 2 huge frags, and now he's got an operator of his own for free, and BBG on a broken buy of their own.
Right? They're going to do it again. They just got a Hunter's Fury that was not there a moment ago. So the B long control that they've been able to expose continues to be problematic. There's Rockets with the newly earned Hunter's Fury, tagging up a couple of players, but wasn't enough to get the kill. Look at how deep Corey was. He was all the way in there.
That is a tragic fail. 4-on-4 now. Wonder if the orbital strike will come out to delay this, and a little late. Maybe going to U-Haul instead. We'll find out in just a moment. Yeah,
look at Rob. Look at how far Rob has gotten into heaven. The problem is, all he has is a classic, right? Like, no Blade Storm, no op or anything crazy like that. He's going to get dismissed of with relative ease. Meanwhile, BBG is still trying to hold on to the site. They're just down to 2 members left. The orbital strike going to clear out U-Haul. As Bjor takes care of Baby Bay, Marved returns, tries to get one, but Zachary's actually the one who get it, but here's Foe. Nice! Oh, okay. Zachary gets 3. It was close, right? It easily could have gone the other way, but FaZe get to 6 first.
And what do you think, Doug? You got 6 rounds as FaZe. Is this enough? You need this last one? How desperate are you? Because I mean, for BBG, this was looking like a very, this could have been 8 rounds at one point, and now it seems like they've had that taken away from them.
Yeah, I think given how things look like they could have gone early on, you feel good if you're FaZe. But as we talk about the second half, again, you're having to deal with a Killjoy on the defending side. Obviously, depending on the proficiency of the Killjoy, that can be devastating. But for now, I think if you're FaZe, you obviously try to take 7-5, but look at Rob. Look at all the space he's already taken. The showstopper is going to be used from Will. Dude, they are full sending, but Raucus is able to take care of Rob just fine. Will takes it out, however. Marv down the swing, understanding that there's a member in U-Haul. They still have pipes control. However, there's no flank is set up, right? Like, B is not an option. They're fully committed to A here. Corey's going to use the showstopper of his own. Blast pack across. The showstopper just goes a bit left as it hits onto the triple stack. But BBG still have some semblance of control of the site. You see a couple of members playing off. FaZe has a numbers advantage, though, and they can exploit that. Understanding that as they try to go in, the dart's going to be used there to push members back. Zachary, Zachary, they left U-Haul unchecked, right? The thing falls apart. The wheels are no longer on the bus. Critical drops as well. FaZe get to 7 at half.
Wow, what a retake. Those brim smokes really come in handy for the retake as well, being 20 seconds long. You can't see a thing through them. And, I mean, you had touched on this a couple times through the half, but FaZe went relatively unchecked at both orbs throughout that entire game, to the point where Marv, got a couple orbital strikes out that maybe you shouldn't have. Corey the same with his showstopper. Maybe inconsistent results in the impact of the rounds, but certainly you got to think the Blade Storm, the Hunter's Fury, a lot of those factors that were at least coming out of the long B side of the map may have had an impact on that. I won't say dominant, but certainly a strong defensive 7-5 half for FaZe, moving over to the attack side now. Just becomes all the more important that this pistol goes the way of BBG.
You see FaZe has already been pinging on a site. It looks like that's where they want to go, and then just to secure things, everyone is over there. They're stacked up. They have a decent idea of what the play is. They're going to enter with the drone, no Killjoy utility waiting for them as the stack was over by B. They peek long. BBG does understand there's nobody home, and that's going to be the cue that the hit's there. But Baby Bay, death, taxes, and FaZe going aggressive. There are 3 things in life that are sure, but Critical takes care of one. He gets a second one as well with the Frenzy as they're keeping FaZe back.
Marv trading damage and almost gets the second one. Still, Will buying a lot of time here for BBG over in Showers to at least occupy FaZe as Bjor falls to Rockets, and now it's a 2-on-3, Doug.
One enemy remaining.
Spike taken away.
Yeah, it's just a Will. Marv with the frenzy gets 3. Will was in a tough spot. I think when you control Showers, that's great as long as you have control elsewhere too, right? If you've taken short, if you've taken U-Haul, if you have pipes, you got something to work with. But if that's your lifeline and that's all you've got, that's a tough ask.
I hate to blow the man's spot up, but talked about it. BBG, an X factor for them on this map, and if it shows up, could really change the outcome of the match, is whether or not the jet op is successful for BBG. So far, it is not. So, Stinger buy, forcing coming out from BBG. This is going to be a full investment against 3 Spectres, a Phantom, and a Stinger. Sorry, I said Spectre buy, but we meant Stinger buy here.
Oh
and
man.
Unfortunately for them, does not pay off so far.
No, it doesn't, and I'm gonna say something
Just say it, Doug. Just say it, Doug.
Well, I'm gonna say this, and then I also realize that I have not looked at every single game they've ever played, but I want to say BBG forces after the pistol every round, regardless of whether or not they win it, right? And sometimes it works out, and everything's great, and they can carry that financial surplus into the following rounds, and everything's awesome. But then there are times like this where you roll the die, you lose the force up, and you're in financial shambles.
Yeah, what you're risking essentially is giving the first 4 rounds, okay? It puts so much pressure on the 4th round of the game where if you've been losing your ecos, your anti-ecos rather, and not just losing, but you haven't been getting kills or collecting any orbs, you've only got your death counter going up to raise your ult orb count. So this next round where they'll have weapons, okay, they do have stingers, a couple buckies, but they're going to be playing this round to buy next. And they're going to be doing just that against several different ultimates on the side of FaZe. So fundamentally speaking, risky.
Well, yeah, man, that looked like that had some promise there. But unfortunately not going to pay off. FaZe have full control of A. Marv is also 1 point away from the orbital strike. There it is. It was dicey. It didn't look good, but it doesn't have to be pretty for it to work out. Orbital strike online. They also have full numbers advantage here as BBG is just down to 2 members left. A decent idea of where they're going to be pushing in from as well. You presume he'll save that into the next round. Yeah, as there's just 1 left on the side and it's foe. He's not going to be around for long. FaZe get to 10, and this is where we also see the impact of the force in the second round of the half, right? If it's close, okay, right? Like the risk is a bit more mitigated in that sense. But if you're looking at a decent deficit and then you force and you lose it, you risk like blowing the lid off this thing.
Yep. And it puts a lot of pressure on this round, as I mentioned, where this is almost not even a bonus for FaZe at this point. You do have a Spectre, you do have a Bulldog, but you're 1 orb off getting Blades to begin with if you're Baby Bay, and you've got, as I mentioned, the Orbital Strike is online, so you've got ultimates that you may be able to pull into this round, and the Hunter's Fury is available for Critical, who's always going to be scary with it, so can't underrate the fact that BBG is there as well, and a lot of damage going into him through that Sky Smoke. Maybe Babe will get his blades up as predicted, but it's almost as though BBG has yielded this with the exchange of some HP. FaZe is still wary of the fact that the hookah position's been given up. You maybe you would just go back A here, and that's exactly what they're doing.
Dude, and they brute forced their way there. Right? Like, they dropped the stim pack and they just held the freaking left click and they blind fired in through that so that they could get him the Blade Storm again. Then the play was over on A. Corey gets 1. Baby Bay's there with the Blade Storm. Critical 1 with the Hunter Fury, excuse me. But it's going to get traded out. BBG still have a chance here, but look at how low of health these players have, Lex.
Yeah, they're weak, and you've just lost so many rounds in a row. You're on a full loss bonus. And right there, Critical just getting deleted in spawn by that orbital strike. Zachary's going to close it out with a nice headshot on the Will. And that was such a beautiful round from FaZe. And you talked about it. Going up along B hard, drawing that rotator, or at least keeping the rotates there. Exchanging damage favorably, collecting the orb, grabbing the ultimate. FaZe did everything right
Yep.
And they denied enough info at the front of Hookah and the front of Long B to where BBG just had no choice but to keep those players in those positions that they were at. So an easy regroup back towards A from FaZe, and they just are able to steamroll through behind Triple into the, wrapping on U-Haul again. And there's just nothing that BBG can do in that scenario because they've already lost so many micro battles along the way. But Critical with a Marshall frag to start things out on a Baby Bay. Or he will find a equalizer on the Will, but nevertheless, this is a 4-on-4 start, Doug.
Okay.
Smoke's down.
That Marshall shot was nasty.
That was hot.
But FaZe now, what can they do? What can they do here on A? They've taken full showers control. Rob's going to be waiting just on the other side. Maybe had there been a bit more patience, he may have had a chance at something, but he is going to drop. Critical does it again. Santa Maria, man. What is that?
I love Marshall kills. Grabs two. He's still on 1 HP, dodging shock darts along the way. This man deserves a medal. And if he lives with this raise grenade, which he will, honestly, that is mindful of this stinger over here from Bjor. TP will come out.
Well,
play underway for FaZe here, maybe, Doug.
Oh, Bjor. So he takes a telly, right? And the problem is now Bjor's stuck, right? They know where he is. Zachary's going to be there waiting. And actually, FaZe looked like they were setting up to go back B. They get about halfway, and then they pull back. There's nobody home at A.
Critical, that 1 HP finally removed from Zach. That is absolutely right. They're just heading back towards A. Going to put the spike down over towards Triple. Zachary with his lurk finds another, Doug.
Dude,
Such
they had no idea.
problem.
Yeah, they had no idea that the play was A until the spike went down. They were convinced that it was at B. They put everything they had over there. Mind you, Bjor was stuck, right? Like, he wasn't going anywhere. But FaZe just played that so well.
Yeah, and I think the train of thought from Zachary there was like, okay, he's taking the teleporter. I'm going to trap him in here. And play just kind of naturally evolved. That's that beautiful Marshall shot to start things out from Critical. And Zachary, couple frags here that really just made this a FaZe convincing round win. But what I was mentioning, just okay, go ahead, Doug. Yeah.
Oh, I was just gonna say, like, Critical shots had me all kind of messed up, man. I'm over here like yelling in Spanish. He's got me sideways, man.
Love to see it. Immediately, some B aggression here from FaZe.
All right, the spike's down. So FaZe, if they can get a pick here, they're going to want to go this way. But keep an eye on Zachary, on how they decide to play this out. Bjor swinging aggressively, understanding that there's pressure there, but Baby Bay dismisses him. But it's Critical who shows up with the heroics, getting two and keeping BBG in this thing.
Critical always seems so level in his play, so calm. Right there to claim both of those. You're expected to trade the one damaged player, maybe the second if you got a hot hand, and he certainly does in that instance. You could almost call that, I mean, Bjor had the right read.
Yep.
You heard the Sova drone get popped. You have a lineup. You take it. Maybe you get two there on one day. Maybe you don't the next. And just a very calm play from Critical to clean it up. And now FaZe regrouping after having shown or faked the run back towards the A site. Now they approach B once again, Doug. 30 seconds remain.
30 seconds left.
Oh, Will's going to get tagged up a little bit, using the showstopper, understanding where they're coming from, but Zachary rips them down from the skies. Will's going to trade one out with a frag, but FaZe down to two members left. They're going to try to go in aggressively here. Clean shots from Corey to drop things down to two apiece. There's Rob with the op, though. We've been waiting for him to pop off, and this is the moment where he needs to, more than any other moment on this map. Rob with the shots. Rob gets one. Teed it up nicely. Foe gets the second one as well. BBG keep the map alive.
Yeah, 12-6 now. BBG will grab this one. Nice op pick there from Rob to close it out. But that was such an unfortunate showstopper out of Will. He got the consolation grenade frag at least. But it really seemed like, you know, for FaZe, Corey with a beautiful satchel over Shed, landing at the L. That's what makes these FaZe players so, you know, their gunplay is so attractive, I guess. You just, watching their mechanics at work, Critical's got some of his own. But it's so impressive watching them just grab positioning. And right here, BBG finally gets the better of it. They get the better end of the positioning. They get the better end of the trades. And I won't call that a clean round. Only two players live, but you at least, consolation prize there's the operator and a Hunter's Fury immediately from Critical. will force all these players back. Marv responds and is just holding W up short, looking for, you know, what may have been a critical out of position, but okay, actually Zachary will find that. Blaze answers back, and the Blade Storm comes out, and this is madness, Doug.
No way. Look at that. Rob is able to get it this round. Okay, there's a lot to talk about, but let's see this thing out. Zachary, who somehow slipped his way in through showers onto A entirely unchecked, manages to get the spike, but BBG is there to stop it in his tracks. So they led with the Roomba, right? They used the Hunter's Fury. Rob dashes in with the op. That was a beautiful setup there, a base short, but it was almost too much chaos, right? Like, Zachary being able to go in through showers uncontested netted them a pick for free, right? And then Rob able to go in and get 3 with the classic there. You talked about him being the one who needs to come online. That was a great round for him. But BBG managed to handle the chaos and get a round win.
That was fun to watch. Already, we're going to see Brock is popping this Aldrone at short, what will sure to be an early A play, or at least A aggression from FaZe. Bo and Will exchanging paranoia for... Ooh! Baby Bay up short finds one. Will trades it out. That'll force out the Bjor ultimate, that lockdown coming through for BBG to silence whatever this execute would have been.
Yeah, but the spike is down, right? Like, the spike is down. It's not planted. It's not in anyone's hands. And the orbital strike from Marv takes care of Bjor. It's just down to Critical. Critical, he's so steady in moments that his team needs him most, and he delivers again, baby!
That is just perfect crosshair placement. Even a little bit of a crab walk, crouch slide there at the end, just to make sure that if there is somebody on the other side of that crosshair, their head is getting ripped off, and that is exactly what Critical just showed us. Like I said, this guy is just so... That information was all there and available to them. Okay, well, one's out shower at bench, one's at truck. I got this. No biggie. And he handles it with grace. That was another round where I just don't even know how to cast that, Doug. Baby Bay just insta dashes up short, finds one, and it's just like all hell breaks loose. Suddenly, FaZe is up in BBG's business. And almost a decisive way to close out map 1.
So the thing is, when they invested aggressive into showers, they left short alone. The only thing that was watching short was a Killjoy turret, right? And they're just going to push right into that. That's no problem, because Bjor was still back in U-Haul. That allowed FaZe, specifically Baby Bay, to get up a short, to give them a bit of room to work with on the site, but so well played by BBG to take things back, right? To take the site back, and then for it to fall on Critical, the guy who we were highlighting earlier, for being as rock steady as they come. He comes up big again for his squad to keep Bind alive, right? Like, the possibility of a comeback, it's cooking. We got something going here.
Yeah, and there is still 4 rounds left here that BBG will have to bring back in. There's no real hope of crushing FaZe's economy in any way, being that they're on a full loss bonus now. However, I do think there's some silver lining and some good things that you can count on, at least in the coming rounds. The resurgence of Rob's op. Okay, he's had 4 in this half already, and they've come in these rounds that they've been winning, and Critical's just been playing out of his mind. And even in that last round, Doug, I wonder if that was planned aggression completely from FaZe, but I think it was a good reaction from Baby Bay, recognizing foe. Okay, throwing the paranoia over at showers. That's a read. And so FaZe showing a little bit of depth there. BBG answering in kind with a critical clutch.
So you see Rob peeks short, Critical peeks long, nobody's home, so then they paranoia mid, but Baby Bay doesn't care about the paranoia that's in his face. He pushes in with the Blade Storm and he's able to take care of foe. FaZe are going to continue to work their way up short. The spike hasn't fully committed yet, but there's nobody watching the lurk on B. Smokes are going to come down from heaven, and look at the position that Baby Bay finds himself in. Can be so devastating if left unchecked. The wheels are starting to fall apart here for BBG as they're just down to 2 members left, but of course it's Critical who gets one back. And now, FaZe have to decide whether or not they want to stick with A or pull off. They seem to be cutting noise, and BBG is starting to rotate back over.
They do have a Hunter's Fury, so playing pure retake here isn't the worst idea. If
oh my gosh.
Took my last. Baby Bay has other plans for the operator in heaven. The Hunter's Fury will come through. Not sure if he's going to even get a tag here, Doug.
Man,
one, but-
that's so big, right? And Baby Bay aggressively taking room away from BBG, not allowing them to work their way into pipes. That leaves things down to Critical. Critical, who's had heroics. How much? Oh, okay. He gets one, right? But he's tagged down to 18 health. And you see members of FAZE start to like pull back, right? And force Critical into an uncomfortable situation where he has to swing. He tries, but the heroics run just a bit dry as FAZE takes bind.
Yeah, and honestly, that map seemed, I won't say easy.